Have you ever noticed how the loudest person in the room is rarely the most powerful? Think about it. The executive who commands respect with a simple nod. The teacher whose silence makes an entire classroom freeze. The friend whose quiet presence somehow speaks volumes. There's something almost magnetic about people who understand the power of saying nothing at all. But here's what most people don't realize. Silence isn't just the absence of words. It's not about being shy, antisocial, or having nothing to say. True silence is a weapon. It's a superpower that the ancient Stoics mastered thousands of years ago, and it's something that can completely transform how you navigate every single day of your life. In a world that rewards the loudest voice, the fastest reply, and the most shocking statement, choosing silence feels almost rebellious. Yet the Stoics knew something we've forgotten. They understood that while everyone else is busy talking, the person who listens holds all the cards. While others are reacting, the silent observer is calculating. While the crowd is shouting, the wise person is learning. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how silence becomes your secret advantage. We'll explore why the most successful people throughout history have mastered this ancient art, how you can use it to gain respect without saying a word, and why your ability to stay quiet in the right moments might be the most powerful skill you'll ever develop. By the end of this journey, you'll understand why silence isn't weakness. It's strength in its purest form. So if you're tired of feeling like you need to fill every awkward pause, if you're exhausted from trying to prove yourself with words, if you're ready to discover what happens when you let your presence speak louder than your voice, then this is for you. Because today we're unlocking the Stoic way of turning silence into your ultimate superpower. The first thing you need to understand about silence is this: it's not what you think it is. Most people believe silence means having nothing to say or being too nervous to speak up. But that's not silence. That's hesitation. That's fear. That's completely different from what we're talking about. True silence is intentional. It's a choice. It's the decision to hold your tongue when everyone else is rushing to fill the void with meaningless chatter. The Stoics called this disciplined silence, and they practiced it like a martial art. Every pause was deliberate. Every moment of quiet was strategic. They understood that words once spoken can never be taken back. But silence protects you from saying something you'll regret. Think about the last time you were in a heated argument. What happened when emotions ran high? You probably said things you didn't mean. You might have revealed information you wanted to keep private. You could have made promises you couldn't keep or threats you couldn't follow through on. That's what happens when we let our mouths run faster than our minds. But imagine if in that same moment you had chosen silence instead. Here's what the ancient philosophers knew that we've forgotten. Every word you speak is a choice. Every sentence is a decision. And every time you choose to remain silent, you're making a statement about your character. You're showing that you have control. You're demonstrating that you think before you speak. You're proving that you value quality over quantity. Consider this scenario. You're in a meeting at work and someone criticizes your idea unfairly. Your first instinct might be to defend yourself immediately, to explain why they're wrong, to prove your point. But what if you paused instead? What if you let their words hang in the air while you considered your response? That pause, that moment of deliberate silence, suddenly shifts the entire dynamic of the room. The person who spoke too quickly starts to question whether their criticism was fair. Others begin to notice your composure under pressure. Your silence becomes more powerful than any defense you could have offered because it shows confidence. It shows that you don't need to justify yourself to everyone who questions you. You understand that not every attack deserves a response. This is where most people struggle with silence. They think it means being passive or letting others walk all over them. But that's not what we're discussing here. Strategic silence isn't about avoiding conflict or being a pushover. It's about choosing your battles wisely. It's about understanding that sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. The Stoics taught that there are 3 types of silence, and mastering each one gives you a different kind of power. The first is protective silence. This is when you choose not to speak because sharing certain information would harm you or others. Maybe someone asks you about a colleague's personal struggles. Maybe you're tempted to gossip about something you heard. Protective silence means recognizing that some words are better left unspoken. The second type is observational silence. This is when you stay quiet specifically to learn. Instead of jumping into every conversation with your own opinions and stories, you listen, you watch, you absorb. This kind of silence makes you incredibly valuable because while everyone else is talking about themselves, you're actually understanding what's happening around you. The third type is power silence. This is perhaps the most advanced form, and it's what separates those who understand silence from those who fear it. Power silence is when you remain quiet specifically because your silence communicates more than words ever could. It's the pause before you answer a difficult question. It's the calm you maintain when someone is trying to provoke you. It's the space you create that forces others to fill the void with their own thoughts and often their own confessions. Let me give you a real example of how this works. Imagine you're negotiating a salary increase with your boss. You've presented your case, outlined your achievements, and made your request. Now comes the crucial moment. Your boss responds with something like, "Well, I'll have to think about it," or "The budget is tight this year." This is where most people make their biggest mistake. They start talking again. They justify their request further. They add more reasons. They show their desperation. But what if you simply nodded and remained silent? What if you let that awkward pause stretch just a little longer than feels comfortable? In that silence, your boss is forced to fill the space. They might start explaining the company's position in more detail, revealing information about the budget you didn't know before. They might even make a counteroffer just to break the tension. Your silence has done what additional arguments couldn't. It's created space for them to move toward your position. This same principle applies to personal relationships. When someone you care about is upset with you, your first instinct might be to explain yourself, to justify your actions, to convince them you're right. But sometimes silence serves you better. Sometimes letting them express their feelings fully, without interruption, without defense, without justification, is exactly what the relationship needs. Your silence becomes an act of respect. It shows that you value their perspective enough to truly hear it. The ancient Stoics understood something profound about human nature. Most people are uncomfortable with silence. They feel compelled to fill quiet spaces with words, even when those words add no value. This discomfort with silence is exactly what gives it power. When you become comfortable with quiet moments, when you can sit in silence without feeling the need to break it, you gain a massive advantage over those who can't. But here's the part that most people miss. Learning to use silence effectively isn't just about staying quiet during conversations with others. It's also about creating internal silence. The Stoics practiced what they called mental discipline. This meant learning to quiet the constant chatter in their own minds. They understood that external silence means nothing if your internal world is chaos. Think about how often your mind races throughout the day. How many thoughts compete for your attention? How frequently do you find yourself mentally rehearsing conversations, worrying about future events, or replaying past mistakes? This internal noise makes it nearly impossible to access the power of true silence. When your mind is cluttered, your external silence lacks authenticity. People can sense when someone is quiet on the outside but turbulent on the inside. This is why the Stoics combine their practice of external silence with internal reflection. They spent time each day in quiet contemplation, not just avoiding conversation with others, but actually creating mental space for clarity and wisdom to emerge. They understood that silence isn't just about controlling what comes out of your mouth. It's about controlling what goes on in your head. When you achieve both external and internal silence, something remarkable happens. You start to notice things others miss. You pick up on subtle social cues that escape people who are too busy planning their next words. You become aware of the emotions behind what people say, not just the words themselves. You develop what the Stoics called practical wisdom, the ability to see situations clearly and respond appropriately. This clarity gives you an enormous advantage in every area of life. In professional settings, you become the person others trust with sensitive information because they know you won't immediately share it with everyone else. In personal relationships, you become someone people seek out when they need to process difficult emotions because they know you'll actually listen instead of just waiting for your turn to talk. But perhaps most importantly, you become someone who commands respect without demanding it. There's something about a person who speaks thoughtfully and deliberately that draws others in. When every word carries weight because you don't waste them, people pay attention when you do choose to speak. The path to mastering silence begins with small, intentional practices. Start by noticing how often you speak unnecessarily throughout a single day. Count the times you interrupt others or finish their sentences. Pay attention to moments when you speak just to fill uncomfortable, quiet spaces. Awareness is the first step toward change. Tomorrow, we'll explore exactly how to develop this awareness into practical skills that will transform every interaction you have. We'll discover why the most influential people throughout history have understood that sometimes the most powerful word you can speak is no word at all. Once you begin practicing intentional silence, you'll quickly discover that it's more challenging than you initially thought. This isn't because silence itself is difficult. It's because our modern world has conditioned us to believe that constant communication equals connection, that immediate responses demonstrate intelligence, and that filling every pause shows engagement. Breaking these deeply ingrained patterns requires more than just deciding to talk less. It requires rewiring how you think about communication itself. The Stoics faced this same challenge 2,000 years ago, but for different reasons. In their time, public speaking and debate were considered the highest forms of intellectual achievement. Citizens were expected to participate actively in political discussions and philosophical arguments. Choosing silence in such an environment wasn't just countercultural. It was almost revolutionary. Yet the greatest Stoic philosophers understood that true wisdom often came not from speaking brilliantly, but from listening intently. Marcus Aurelius, who literally ruled the Roman Empire, wrote extensively about the power of thoughtful silence in his personal reflections. He could have commanded attention whenever he spoke, could have dominated every conversation, could have used his words as weapons to destroy his enemies. Instead, he chose his words carefully and spoke only when his voice would add genuine value. This restraint didn't make him weak. It made him legendary. But here's where most people go wrong when they first attempt to embrace silence as a tool. They think it means becoming invisible or passive. They worry that staying quiet will make them forgettable or irrelevant. This misunderstanding reveals a fundamental confusion about what silence actually accomplishes. Strategic silence doesn't make you disappear. It makes you memorable. It doesn't reduce your influence. It amplifies it. Consider what happens in any group conversation. Usually there are one or two people who dominate the discussion, speaking frequently and at length. Then there are several others who chime in occasionally with their own stories or opinions. Finally, there's often one person who says very little but listens intently to everything. Which person do you remember most clearly after the conversation ends? Which person's few words carry the most weight when they do choose to speak? The answer reveals something profound about human psychology. We're naturally drawn to mystery and scarcity. When someone speaks constantly, their words become background noise. But when someone speaks rarely and thoughtfully, we pay attention. Their silence creates anticipation. When they finally do contribute to a conversation, everyone listens because they know it will be worth hearing. This principle extends far beyond casual social interactions. In professional environments, the person who speaks least in meetings is often perceived as the most thoughtful and strategic. In negotiations, the party that can remain comfortable with long pauses often secures better outcomes. In personal relationships, the individual who listens more than they speak is typically seen as more trustworthy and caring. Understanding this dynamic allows you to use silence as a tool for building influence rather than avoiding responsibility. But developing this skill requires practice in increasingly challenging situations. Start with low-stakes conversations where the outcome doesn't matter significantly. practice letting others finish their thoughts completely before responding. Notice how often you interrupt or rush to fill comfortable pauses. These small observations will reveal how much mental discipline true silence actually requires. The next level involves learning to recognize the different types of conversational moments and responding appropriately to each one. Some situations genuinely benefit from your input and engagement. Others are better served by your quiet attention. Developing the wisdom to distinguish between these moments is what separates strategic silence from mere social withdrawal. For example, when someone is sharing exciting news about a personal achievement, that's usually a moment for enthusiastic engagement rather than contemplative silence. But when someone is venting about a frustrating situation, they might need your listening ear more than your advice or opinions. Learning to read these social cues accurately requires the kind of focused attention that only comes from practicing mindful silence. The Stoics developed specific exercises to strengthen their capacity for thoughtful silence. One technique involves spending entire days speaking only when directly asked a question, and even then responding with the absolute minimum number of words necessary. Another practice required them to listen to heated political debates without offering any opinions, focusing entirely on understanding each speaker's underlying motivations and emotions. These exercises weren't punishment or self-denial. They were training for mental discipline and social wisdom. Just as physical exercise strengthens your body's capacity for challenging tasks, silence exercises strengthen your mind's capacity for clear thinking and strategic communication. The goal isn't to become antisocial or disconnected. It's to become more intentional and effective in all your interactions. Modern research confirms what the ancient philosophers understood intuitively. Studies show that people who speak less in group settings are often perceived as more intelligent and trustworthy. Leaders who pause before responding to difficult questions are seen as more thoughtful and competent. Negotiators who can remain comfortable with silence often achieve better outcomes than those who feel compelled to keep talking. But perhaps the most significant benefit of mastering silence isn't how others perceive you. It's how silence changes your own thinking process. When you're not constantly planning what to say next, you can actually absorb and process what's happening around you. When you're not immediately reacting to every stimulus, you can respond more thoughtfully and strategically. When you're not filling every moment with words, you create space for genuine insight and wisdom to emerge. This internal transformation is where the real power of silence reveals itself. External quiet is just the beginning. The deeper practice involves cultivating mental stillness that allows you to see situations more clearly and respond more effectively. This kind of clarity becomes your secret weapon in a world full of people who are too busy talking to think clearly. The ancient Stoics knew that mastering silence required understanding the difference between productive quiet and mere social anxiety. True silence comes from confidence, not fear. It emerges from wisdom, not uncertainty. It reflects strength, not weakness. Developing this distinction is crucial because silence motivated by fear will never give you the advantages we've been discussing. Fear-based silence makes you invisible and irrelevant. Wisdom-based silence makes you mysterious and influential. The difference lies not in how much you speak, but in why you choose to remain quiet. When your silence serves a strategic purpose, when it reflects thoughtful consideration rather than social anxiety, it becomes a tool for building respect and influence rather than avoiding engagement. This understanding leads us to one of the most advanced applications of strategic silence: learning to use quiet moments as opportunities for others to reveal themselves more fully than they intended. When you resist the urge to fill awkward pauses, you create space for others to share thoughts and feelings they might otherwise keep private. This information becomes incredibly valuable for understanding motivations, building relationships, and navigating complex social situations. The journey toward mastering silence as a superpower continues to unfold in layers of increasing sophistication and effectiveness. Each level of understanding opens new possibilities for influence and connection that most people never discover. New possibilities for influence and connection that most people never discover. The next frontier involves learning to read the hidden conversations that happen beneath spoken words. While everyone else focuses on what people say, you begin to notice what they don't say. You start picking up on the hesitations, the carefully chosen phrases, the topics they avoid. This level of awareness only emerges when you stop being so focused on your own response that you miss the subtle communication happening right in front of you. Think about the last time you were in a conversation where someone was clearly holding something back. Maybe they kept starting sentences they didn't finish. Perhaps they changed the subject whenever certain topics came up. Most people miss these signals entirely because they're too busy planning their next comment. But when you practice intentional silence, you become incredibly attuned to these hidden layers of communication. This awareness transforms every interaction from a simple exchange of words into a complex dance of unspoken meaning. You begin to understand that what people don't say often reveals more about their true thoughts and feelings than what they do say. A colleague who avoids mentioning a particular project might be struggling with it. A friend who changes the subject whenever you bring up their relationship might be dealing with problems they're not ready to discuss. A family member who becomes unusually quiet during certain conversations might be carrying emotional weight they haven't shared. The Stoics understood this principle deeply. Epictetus taught his students to pay attention not just to words, but to the spaces between words. He believed that these pauses contained as much information as the sentences themselves. When someone hesitates before answering a question, that hesitation tells you something. When someone speaks quickly and nervously, their pace reveals their emotional state. When someone becomes unusually quiet, their silence communicates volumes. Developing this level of perceptual skill requires patience and practice. You must learn to resist your natural urge to focus on formulating your response while others are speaking. Instead, you train yourself to listen with what the Stoics called complete presence. This means giving your full attention to not just the words being spoken, but the tone, the pace, the body language, and yes, the silences that accompany those words. Here's a practical exercise that will accelerate your development of this skill. During your next conversation, challenge yourself to notice 3 things the other person doesn't say directly, but communicates through their hesitations, word choices, or topic avoidances. Don't act on this information immediately. Simply observe and file it away. Over time, you'll develop an almost supernatural ability to read between the lines of human communication. This skill becomes particularly powerful in professional settings where people often can't say exactly what they think. In meetings where politics and hierarchy complicate direct communication, your ability to read unspoken messages gives you a massive advantage. You start to understand the real dynamics at play, not just the official version being presented. You pick up on alliances, tensions, and opportunities that others miss entirely. But perhaps the most profound application of advanced silence comes in moments of conflict or tension. When emotions run high and others are responding reactively, your ability to remain calm and silent becomes almost magnetic. People are naturally drawn to stability in chaotic situations. Your composed silence in the midst of drama makes you a natural leader, even when you hold no official authority. Consider what happens when a heated argument breaks out in a group setting. Most people either join the conflict or retreat from it entirely. But there's a third option that the Stoics mastered. You remain present and engaged, but you don't add fuel to the fire. Your silence becomes an anchor point of stability that others unconsciously gravitate toward. Without saying a word, you become the person others look to for guidance on how to handle the situation. This dynamic works because silence in chaotic moments demonstrates emotional regulation and mental clarity. While others are being controlled by their emotions, you're choosing your response consciously. This contrast is stark and immediately noticeable to everyone present. Your silence doesn't communicate disengagement or cowardice. It communicates mastery over your own reactions, which is one of the most attractive and respected qualities a person can display. The ancient Stoics practiced this specifically through exercises they called voluntary discomfort. They would deliberately place themselves in challenging social situations and practice maintaining their composure without speaking. They attended heated political debates without participating. They listened to personal attacks without defending themselves. They remained silent during moments when their natural instinct was to jump into the conversation. These weren't masochistic exercises. They were training regimens designed to build mental strength and emotional resilience. Just as athletes train under more difficult conditions than they'll face in actual competition, the Stoics trained their capacity for silence under more challenging circumstances than their daily lives typically presented. This preparation allowed them to remain calm and thoughtful during real crises when others around them were losing their composure. Modern neuroscience has validated what these ancient philosophers understood intuitively. When we practice remaining silent during emotionally charged situations, we literally strengthen the neural pathways associated with emotional regulation and impulse control. We become more capable of choosing our responses rather than simply reacting automatically to whatever stimulus we encounter. This neurological strengthening has profound implications for every area of life. In romantic relationships, your ability to remain silent during arguments allows your partner to express their feelings fully without becoming defensive about your immediate reactions. This often leads to faster resolution and deeper understanding. In parenting, your capacity to stay calm and quiet when children are acting out teaches them emotional regulation through modeling rather than lecturing. In business negotiations, your comfort with silence forces others to fill the void, often revealing information they didn't intend to share or making concessions they hadn't planned to offer. In social situations, your ability to listen without immediately offering opinions or advice makes you incredibly valuable to others who need someone to truly hear them. But the most transformative aspect of mastering silence isn't how it affects your external relationships. It's how it changes your internal landscape. When you develop the discipline to remain quiet externally, you simultaneously develop the ability to quiet your internal mental chatter. The constant stream of judgments, worries, plans, and reactions that normally occupy your mind begins to settle into something more peaceful and focused. This internal silence creates space for insights and perspectives that simply can't emerge when your mind is constantly busy processing and reacting. You start to notice patterns in your own thinking and behavior that were previously invisible. You become aware of your unconscious habits and automatic responses. Most importantly, you develop the mental clarity needed to make better decisions and respond more effectively to whatever challenges life presents. The Stoics called this state of mental clarity practical wisdom. It's the ability to see situations accurately, understand the available options clearly, and choose the most effective response based on your values and long-term goals rather than your immediate emotional reactions. This kind of wisdom is only possible when you create enough internal space for thoughtful consideration to occur. Developing practical wisdom through silence isn't a quick process. It requires consistent practice and patience with yourself as you learn to override deeply ingrained communication habits. But the results compound over time in ways that can completely transform how you navigate the world. You become someone who commands attention when you speak precisely because you speak so thoughtfully and infrequently. You become a person others seek out for advice because they know you actually listen before offering guidance. Most importantly, you become someone who maintains their center regardless of how chaotic or challenging external circumstances become. Your silence isn't withdrawal from life. It's engagement with life at a deeper and more intentional level than most people ever experience. This is where the true superpower of silence reveals itself, not in avoiding the world, but in engaging with it from a position of unshakable inner strength and clarity. The journey toward this level of mastery continues to unfold in ways that surprise and challenge even those who have been practicing for years. Each situation presents new opportunities to deepen your understanding and refine your skills. The deeper you go into this practice, the more you realize that silence isn't just about restraint. It's about presence. Real presence. When you master the art of being fully present without the compulsion to immediately respond, you discover something remarkable. You start to see conversations as living, breathing entities with their own rhythm and flow. Most people bulldoze through these natural rhythms with their eagerness to contribute. But when you learn to honor the pace of genuine dialogue, you become someone who others feel truly seen and heard by. This shift from reactive communication to responsive communication changes everything. Reactive communication is what happens when someone says something and you immediately fire back with your thoughts, opinions, or experiences. It's automatic. It's unconscious. It's what nearly everyone does nearly all the time. Responsive communication is different. It involves receiving what someone has shared, letting it settle, considering what they really need from you in that moment, and then choosing how to respond or whether to respond at all. The gap between these two approaches might seem small, but the results are dramatically different. When you respond rather than react, your words carry weight because they're intentional. When you pause before speaking, people sense that you're actually considering what they've said rather than just waiting for your turn to talk. This creates a quality of connection that most people rarely experience in their daily interactions. Here's what happens when you consistently practice responsive communication. People start telling you things they don't share with others. They begin seeking you out when they need to process difficult decisions or emotions. They trust you with information they keep private from everyone else. Why? Because your silence has taught them that you won't immediately judge, advise, or try to fix whatever they're sharing. You've created space for them to think out loud without fear of immediate reaction. This dynamic is incredibly powerful in professional settings. Colleagues start bringing you into sensitive conversations because they know you won't immediately broadcast whatever you learn. Managers begin consulting you on difficult decisions because they trust that you'll listen to all the factors before offering input. Clients feel comfortable sharing their real concerns with you because your silence demonstrates that you're more interested in understanding their situation than in promoting your own agenda. But the most sophisticated application of silence comes when you learn to use it strategically in negotiations and conflicts. This isn't about manipulation or gamesmanship. It's about understanding that silence can create space for others to move towards solutions they might not reach if you were constantly pushing them in a particular direction. When you resist the urge to immediately respond to objections, counteroffers, or criticisms, you often discover that the other person will continue talking and reveal information that helps you understand their real position. Imagine you're negotiating a business deal and the other party makes an offer that's lower than what you were hoping for. Your natural instinct might be to immediately explain why their offer is insufficient or to counter with your own number. But what if you simply acknowledged their offer and then remained silent? In that silence, they might start justifying their position, revealing their actual budget constraints, or even talking themselves into a higher offer just to fill the uncomfortable quiet. This same principle works in personal conflicts. When someone is upset with you, your immediate urge might be to defend yourself, explain your actions, or point out their role in the problem. But sometimes the most powerful response is to simply listen to their concerns completely without interrupting or defending. This allows them to feel heard, which is often what they need more than they need you to be right. Your silence becomes an act of respect that can diffuse tension more effectively than any argument or explanation. The ancient Stoics understood that this kind of strategic silence required tremendous inner strength. It's much easier to react immediately than to pause, consider, and choose your response. It takes discipline to remain quiet when someone is criticizing you unfairly. It requires confidence to let awkward pauses stretch out during important conversations. It demands wisdom to know when your voice will help and when it will hurt. This is why the Stoics paired their external silence practices with internal mental training. They spent time each day in quiet reflection, not just avoiding conversation with others, but actually strengthening their capacity for clear thinking and emotional regulation. They understood that external silence without internal clarity is just suppression. True silence emerges from a mind that has learned to be still and focused even in challenging circumstances. Developing this internal stillness requires recognizing the difference between productive silence and anxious silence. Productive silence comes from a place of centered confidence. You're quiet because you're choosing to be, because you recognize that silence serves your purposes better than speaking would. Anxious silence comes from fear, uncertainty, or social discomfort. You're quiet because you don't know what to say or you're worried about saying the wrong thing. The difference between these two types of silence is immediately apparent to others, even if they can't articulate why. Confident silence feels powerful and intentional. Anxious silence feels uncomfortable and withdrawn. Learning to recognize which type you're practicing in any given moment allows you to adjust your approach and ensure that your silence is serving you rather than limiting you. One of the most effective ways to develop confident silence is to practice what the Stoics called voluntary challenge. This means deliberately placing yourself in situations where your natural instinct is to speak, and then practicing restraint. Attend a meeting where you have strong opinions but force yourself to listen for the first half before contributing anything. Go to a social gathering where you know people will ask about topics you love to discuss, but challenge yourself to ask more questions than you answer. These exercises might feel awkward at first, but they build your capacity for intentional silence in the same way that physical exercise builds muscle strength. The more comfortable you become with choosing silence, even when speaking would be easier, the more powerful your eventual words become when you do choose to share them. Remember, silence isn't about disappearing from the world. It's about engaging with it from a position of unshakable strength. When you master this ancient Stoic practice, you don't just change how others see you. You transform how you see yourself. You become someone who commands respect without demanding it, who influences without manipulation, who leads through presence rather than pressure. Start small. Notice when you speak unnecessarily today. Practice one intentional pause. Let one awkward silence stretch just a moment longer than feels comfortable. Because in a world drowning in noise, your silence becomes the rarest and most powerful gift you can offer. The Stoics knew this truth 2,000 years ago. Now it's your turn to make it yours.